Believe in Bigfoot? Dogman? Any cryptid? Are you skeptical?
Curious about the supernatural, conspiracy theories, the unknown? Then come join us as we explore facts, tall tales, and encounters on Creatures and Curiosities.
Hello and welcome to Creatures and Curiosities. I'm David.
And I'm Jake.
And in this week's episode, we are going to be talking about the one and only
Batsquatch.
He's no dynamic duo, and he's not a crime fighter, but he is
The Batsquatch.
That's right. I couldn't resist
Oh,
that.
I love it. I love it.
So as always, we'll do a description and talk about the origin, and then we'll get into some sightings on him. He's a creepy thing, and the sightings are minimal, but really good.
Oh, very detailed. Yeah.
I think they are detailed sightings, and a lot of times we don't get that. So, let's just jump right on into this thing, unless you got any good stuff happen during the week?
Busy, working, putting enough work for 2 weeks into like 4 days.
Yeah.
That's good.
I feel like everything's just falling apart in my life. Exactly. Everything's breaking, and just before Christmas,
just in time.
Spend thousands of dollars in repairs and whatnot. But anyway, let's get into this. Batsquatch is considered to be a flying cryptid, and he has been described as being anywhere between like 9 and 15 feet tall, yellow eyes, a dog-like muzzle, bluish or purplish fur. It's been described differently.
Yep.
He's got sharp teeth, but no fangs, which is kind of weird.
Yeah.
Why they would even notice that. He's got bird-like feet and leathery bat-like wings that can span upwards to 50 feet.
Which is huge, crazy big.
Unbelievable how big that would be. But he's initially described as this flying primate with red glowing eyes. That was the first account of it from people that didn't get into detail, let me put it that way.
Right.
So when you get into sightings, it's going to be yellow eyes. But some of the first people that saw it said it looked like he had red glowing eyes. Most witnesses are now describing him more like a flying dogman because they say he's wolf-like and has that dog-like muzzle.
Which is just cooler to me.
Flying
dogman? I mean,
way cooler,
yeah.
Right. So when they're describing him as Bigfoot or a primate with wings, I think there was a couple of reasons for it. Number one, obviously, it occurred in Washington.
Yeah.
That's Squatch country.
Yeah.
When they were writing the first article for the newspaper there called the News Tribunal, they were trying to coin something, that would be catchy.
Right.
And so they had talked to some friends and whatnot. So they all came up with, well, it's got bat wings and, it's Washington, so let's call it Batsquatch. Really, it's a flying dog man.
Yeah.
Which makes it just that much more cool
It's even better, yeah.
Yeah. So the name Batsquatch was first written by this journalist, C.R. Roberts, after publishing the first true personal encounter of it, not just a look in the sky. It's
right.
It's Batsquatch. Instead of that, this was the first personal encounter. And that came out in the News Tribunal. That was in Tacoma, Washington, where that was first published. It's also believed, based on the first sighting, that Batsquatch has the ability to stop engines.
Yeah.
Like cars stop, when it shows up. I think there's other cryptids where they've talked about that. Was Mothman No, because Mothman flies next to the car and stuff while
Yeah.
you're driving 100 miles an hour. It's keeping up with you. But it seems to me there was one other cryptid that things would shut down.
I can't remember what it was for the life of me.
Yeah, me neither.
We're failing people now.
Yeah, exactly. So, but Batsquatch supposedly has that ability to be like an EMP.
Which just adds to the horror, because if you saw it and you thought, okay, I got to get out of here.
Yeah.
Now your car doesn't work.
And you can't.
Yeah.
Right. Which is what happened.
We'll get into that. Yeah.
Yeah. So the first location where Batsquatch made his appearance was Mount St. Helens area. Other areas that have been reported were the Mount Rainier area of Washington, northern Oregon, and believe it or not, as far south as Mount Shasta in California.
Yeah.
Now, I did read that there were sightings back east. I'm not buying it. I don't think that Batsquatch would fly all the way across the country and not be seen,
No.
all the way across those states. One of the reports was just like a flash. Somebody saw a big creature flash by the window, so it was automatically Batsquatch in their mind.
When in reality, it was the Jersey Devil.
It was probably the Jersey Devil or Dogman just running by quickly.
Yeah.
But anyway, we'll keep for the purposes of this podcast, we're going to say the Pacific Northwest, could be California, Oregon, and Washington are the main sightings.
Which I wish I would have known that when we lived there.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I would have been hiking around Shasta.
Yeah, all the time. Yeah,
all the
much
time.
as I could have.
Waiting to see this purple, blue, flying Dogman.
So it could rip me off the mountain and kill me. I could never tell anybody about it again.
Exactly. Okay, so let's get kind of into what potentially could be the origin of Mr. Batsquatch.
Mm-hmm.
It's believed that he made his first appearance after the eruption of Mount St. Helens. Now, I don't know if you remember, you were just a little guy back then, but on March 27th of 1980 at 12:37 p.m., the top of Mount St. Helens exploded with so much force that it sent about a 10,000-foot plume of ash into the air and literally deposited debris as far away as Bend, Oregon to the south and Spokane, Washington to the north. That's a good distance.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And you got rock falling down all the way there. That was unbelievable.
Yeah.
I was old enough to remember that. And in fact, I remember it was like I lived in Central California at the time, closer to like Southern California. And it was like it was snowing. The ash was coming down like snowflakes after that thing went off. But it was pretty much unbelievable. But for the following months, there were earthquakes, more eruptions, lightning storms, etc., just kind of raging through the area. And I know that people were horrified, not knowing if this thing was going to go off again.
Oh, yeah.
Or what was going to happen. But then on May 18th, a 5.1 magnitude earthquake triggered part of Mount St. Helens into the largest landslide in recorded history. If you can imagine, have you ever seen landslides or
just on, not in person, just on YouTube and stuff? But
I mean, even like when you're out and there's a tiny little avalanche, you ever just watched where a small area of snow breaks away? I've never been in a big avalanche, but I've seen it where you step on snow and a little shelf breaks clear and it starts sliding down the hill and it, not the kind that's killing people, but just the sheer energy behind mass sliding down a hill. Well, in this particular case, this is all like rock. It's not just mud and slurry. You have tons and tons of rock flying down the side of this place. And so what I read was that the rock was actually moving at about 115 miles an hour.
Oh,
you can imagine. So it's not like you're going to outrun it. People are always like, well, just run, get away.
It's like semi-trucks coming at you at full speed.
Yeah, 115 miles an hour. These rocks just pour over the land, and they covered some of the areas in as much as 600 feet of stone. So, nobody survives that.
Right, yeah.
You couldn't even get an excavation crew to come out and clear that rock before you died from
it's game over.
your injuries and whatnot. But the volcano erupts again, and a column rose about 80,000 feet into the air, burying surrounding areas in up to about 5 inches of ash. So it covers as far away as northern Mexico, all the way over to like Minnesota. People were seeing the results of this ash floating
Which is
down.
crazy.
Yeah. I remember walking out to my Ford Torino. I had like a Starsky and Hutch car.
Yeah.
And it was just literally covered in ash. It was hard to breathe. And, I lived, 900 plus miles south of where this occurred, and that stuff was everywhere.
That's got to be horrifying. You think it's like end times kind of thing.
Yeah. And think about being there. you
Yeah.
know. Lord, I can't even imagine. But anyway, the eruption of Mount St. Helens was the most destructive volcanic activity in the continental U.S. since 1915, and 57 people were killed. Hundreds of people were left homeless with no place to go. The whole town, everything surrounding it was covered
Right.
in rubble. So it was a pretty unbelievable incident, especially for continental U.S. You see this all the time in Fiji and Hawaii.
Exactly.
They get the eruptions and the lava's rolling really slow. I've used to watch those videos of the lava rolling down the roadways, and
Yeah.
but people were literally able to outrun it.
Yeah. I mean, some of that stuff, you can watch videos where it's going so slow that they have like scientists and stuff walking up and collecting samples of it and walking away.
Right.
I mean, it's still devastating the area it's hitting,
yeah.
obviously, but
Yeah, it's destroying everything in its path, which isn't obviously good.
Right.
But imagine it coming at you at 115 miles an hour. There's no getting out of the way. Your home is, destroyed. And you're dead, and that's the end of it. It's just terrible. If it wasn't bad enough, right, that you just had a massive mountain blow its top, throw a flume 80,000 feet into the air, basically a nuclear winter, happening.
killing people.
Killing people, displacing people from their homes, depositing ash for thousands of miles away. That's just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah,
Because now from this eruption, it's thought that this creature, Mr. Batsquatch, was actually released from the Earth's core. That in and of itself is probably one of the most horrifying beginnings of a cryptid I've ever heard.
Yeah.
I loved the Jersey Devil, where she gives birth, it flies around the room, eviscerating people,
Killing the babies.
killing children and all that. I mean, that's a horrible story. But this one, if you think about just the reality of what's occurring, a volcano erupts, and from it comes this flying 50-foot winged Dogman, Sasquatch, whatever looking creature that comes flying up out of it. Now, a lot of people saw this, so it's kind of hard to deny. I know that a lot of people are going to say mass hysteria due to the tragic event that was occurring.
Right.
But this is not a case of misidentification.
No.
There was no condor flying around. This is not a bird or anything that we would know that you could misidentify, right?
Right.
I mean, there's just no way.
No.
A 50-foot, I picture that like almost translucent skin of a bat wing, where you can almost see through it. 15-foot tall body with a 50-foot wingspan. What else could that be?
I've seen condors in person up close, and they're not.
No,
they're huge.
They're beautiful.
They're huge, but they're not. They're not 50-foot
Batsquatch.
wing, and they're not 9 to 15 feet tall.
No, and too many people saw this to be able to say, no, that they're all crazy.
Right.
Right. And then, my thought on this initially was, I wonder if this is similar to something like Mothman, right? Where it shows up during tragic events. Because wasn't that what Mothman was all about?
Yeah.
Something would happen, bridge collapsed or something like that.
Yep.
And then
50-something people died, or
and then there's Mothman.
Yeah.
The question that begs to be answered, though, is what is it? I mean, so I was thinking, well, could it be something angelic? I don't know. Angelic, demonic, alien, some interdimensional, horrifying being?
Yeah.
Is it there for good? Is it there for bad? I mean, nobody can answer this one in this particular case.
Right.
even though there were multiple sightings of it, and then you're going to get into some of the more detailed sightings of it, it never really hurt anybody.
Right.
It hasn't done anything to anybody. And so you kind of have to ask, if it came out of a volcanic eruption, I don't know of any creatures like bears or whatever that could survive being in magma, being shot out of a mountaintop.
Yeah.
Right. So it has to be something,
an entity of some kind.
Yeah, spiritual or alien or something that isn't, anything in the realm of what we would understand.
Right.
Which makes it just that much more scary. Now, if it's an angel, then that's a good thing. If it's a demon, it's like, oh my Lord, stay out of Washington. All I do know is that these people did not misidentify a known creature that they're now describing as Batsquatch.
If you said it was like a small group and that group was together at the time and one person said something and then the other person, just because of the hysteria, was like, yeah, I saw it too. But we're talking about multiple different people in multiple different locations.
Right.
Who probably didn't talk to each other, I'm assuming. I mean, I guess I am assuming that, but...
Yeah, and I think that's all we can do at this point because they didn't give names and locations of these people. But all the reports indicate that there were multiple people from multiple areas that saw this creature flying around right after the eruption. I just don't know what else it could be. It's got to be something.
They must have all been on walkie-talkies talking to each other about it.
Yes.
And then they got it in each other's head from different towns and cities around it.
That's exactly
That's the only explanation. Yeah. There it is.
And
case closed.
And it was probably just a 25-foot beaver.
Yeah, exactly.
Or something,
that it had to have been.
Yeah, they just...
Those winged beavers.
Exactly.
Might as well be floating around in magma, too.
I don't see any reason why not. But anyway, this Batsquatch, he disappears just as abruptly as he appears. And he hadn't been seen for like upwards to 14 years. There were no more reports of seeing this guy anywhere. And then April of 1994, we get this first face-to-face encounter that you're going to go into detail on here. I can only imagine... As with any cryptid, it doesn't matter which one it is, a face-to-face encounter with one has to be terrifying.
It has to be.
That young boy that was attacked by Lizard Man, he probably never was able to get that out of his head.
Right.
People that have had rougarous, entering their homes. How do you ever sleep again? I mean, these people have endured things so outside the realm of normalcy. Yeah. That I sometimes wonder how they ever get past it.
Well, thinking about it, I was thinking that like a lion, I know a lion exists. Seen him at the zoo. I've seen him stuffed. I've watched a bunch of videos on him, whatever. Right. If I came face to face with one, I'd be horrified.
Right.
And that's a known thing. Now imagine it's 9 to 15 feet tall with wings that go 50 feet out. And you have no idea what it is.
Can't even imagine it.
The level of horror has to be even more than a lion.
Yeah. And like you said in one episode, I'm okay with it. I want it.
Yeah. I'll take
want
it.
to see one of these.
I'll live with the nightmares. I
may never sleep again. But I think it would be pretty awesome to see something like that. But just like these poor people go through, you tell people
and then you're ridiculed.
What you saw. You're ridiculed. You're a psycho. You need mental help.
Yep.
And this is why a lot of people don't report stuff.
Yep.
Which, again, we've talked about that in multiple episodes. So kudos to the people that actually come out and say, no, this is real and I saw it. Because we could get into a lot of like biblical reference of stuff that you and I were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
The Nephilims and the demons, mated with animals and there's scripture to support that.
Right.
And that there were at one point, at least on earth, walking around beasts that were part human and part divine. And I hate using the term divine when you're talking about a demon, but they were angels.
They're fallen angels.
They're
that's
fallen
what they
angels.
Are.
There's divinity there. And when they mated with, and for a purpose, they wanted to defile God's creatures, etc. Right. But there's enough biblical scripture to support the fact that they were here on earth prior to the flood. And it begs the question, could they still be here?
And why wouldn't they be?
Why wouldn't they be? Could demons still do what they did in those days? I would imagine they can, which could possibly explain cryptids.
I mean, you literally just described a Dogman, in my opinion.
Yes.
And Sasquatch and Lizard Man and
Right.
Jersey Devil and all these things.
And then when you look at hieroglyphics going back centuries, I mean, thousands of years
Anubis
ago.
and all those quote unquote gods that they worshiped.
Yeah. And what were they? They all had like the heads of cats or dogs or whatnot, and bodies of people.
I mean, look at the Sphinx.
The Sphinx is a classic example, and that was built pre-flood.
Right. You were mentioning that. I mean, you could still see the watermarks
Right.
on that big statue, whatever you want to call it.
And so as people, we love to write that off and say none of that happened. But if you read the Bible, it did happen.
Right.
And
Yet,
so
yet no one can describe how the pyramids were built.
No. So we try and say it was alien, or they used pulley systems.
Or have you seen the one where they talk about how they used water systems?
Yes.
Where they built these like pre-made dams and they would flood it. It would float somehow this giant stone.
Yeah.
Because you know how stones float constantly.
I've always seen floating stones. That's why when you go out to the lakes, the rocks are actually on the surface of the water.
Yeah, you can't even
not
fish
on the
because
bottom.
of how...
Yeah, anyway, so there's all kinds of, if you open your mind
Yep.
and you have a little bit of knowledge, you can surmise that this stuff is capable of being real.
Yeah.
And so when people blow it off that you're a nut, you say you saw Dogman and you didn't see it. What you saw was a, hybrid wolf or something.
Or a figment of your imagination.
Figment of
You were
your
gripped by
imagination.
fear and
Yeah.
it overtook you.
And yet Scripture confirms that these things did walk the earth at one point.
Yeah. I'll take
And-
scripture over some dude's word.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I didn't want to go down a rabbit hole and get people losing their minds over that. But
Yeah. Oh, well.
but that's how I justify it. I
Yeah.
mean, when we keep saying cryptids are real, and I know a lot of people are like, no, they're not. There's no evidence of it. There's no evidence because if it's demonic, it's not going to give you evidence of
Right.
it. And so to me, that's the best explanation, that it is something of a demonic force that doesn't want you to catch it, and then,
Yeah.
of course, we're going to get into Dogman down the road. That's the next episode. So we'll touch on that. So
Yeah.
I don't want to do that example
Yeah.
yet, but
We have to stop ourselves. 'Cause
we have
we'll
to stop
totally
ourselves.
stop
Yeah.
talking about this and going down
we'll
the
be
road. Yeah.
we'll be an hour into a Dogman episode on Batsquatch.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, let's jump into sightings.
Yeah. So, yeah, like you said, we got that, not really the first sighting, but the first official account to us with good detail. And so, like you said, this was in April of 94. It was actually April 16th of 1994. It was about 9:30 at night, and this kid, Brian Canfield, who was 18 at the time, he was driving home from Buckley in Pierce County, Washington. And he was in the middle of the foothills of Mount Rainier, just above Lake Kapowsin, when his pickup truck came to a stop. Now, he didn't apply the brakes, didn't let off the gas or anything. It just stopped out of nowhere. And the engine died. And Canfield had no idea what was going on. So he sat there in the middle of the road with his headlights on still, and it was illuminating the roadway, obviously, because it's nighttime. And all of a sudden, he sees a pair of claw-like bird feet descending from the sky in front of him.
Which, imagine that.
In the middle of, you're out, it's pitch dark.
Yeah.
All you could see is what's in your headlights, and now you see...
Bird feet coming down.
Bird
So
feet with-
I'd be thinking pterodactyl or something.
Yeah, exactly. So as the creature continues to descend, Canfield could see the legs, then the torso, then the chest, and then the face clearly in front of him. Now he claims that the wings were folded and attached to the back of huge broad shoulders, and then with a loud thud, it lands about 30 feet in front of his truck.
Okay, so I'm already picturing like Jeepers Creepers.
Exactly.
Right? Where it lands
Yeah.
in front of the school bus.
Yep.
I love, because I
It's
love
got
that episode.
Oh, I love
And
that.
it's licking the glass. Anyway, that's what I'm picturing here,
Yeah.
just listening to that description.
Yeah.
right?
So he estimates it's about 9 feet tall. It's got blue tinted fur, tufted ears, and sharp, straight teeth. Now he says, quote, its eyes were yellow and shaped like a piece of pie with pupils like half moon. The mouth was pretty big, white teeth, no fangs, and the face was like a wolf, end quote.
So there we go.
There it is.
So this is Dogman with wings.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
Batsquatch or not, it's a flying Dogman.
Right.
Okay. All right. Just make that clear.
I know people are thinking, oh, you guys are just biased. It's something else. No, it's a flying dog, man.
It's
and
a
that's the
flying
end of it.
Dogman. That's it. Period.
Canfield said the creature stood there just staring at him. like it was resting and didn't know what to think. Canfield said he was scared, obviously. I mean,
Yeah, who wouldn't be?
Exactly. But he also says that he didn't feel threatened by the creature. He just felt, quote, out of place, end quote. Which,
so
I mean,
wonder-
because it's kind of like what I was saying about the lion, you know what you're looking at. So there's that, you're still terrified.
Yeah.
But when you're also terrified and you also have no idea what you're looking at, it's got to be a whole other level of fear.
I would think so.
It's surreal almost.
And then, but he says he never felt that he was in danger. So I wonder, is this thing putting off that vibe that, I'm not here to hurt you?
Right. Is there some kind of
is this kid
energy or force or presence about it that's like...
Well, it did shut his engine off.
Or is he just so, you got your fight or flight, We've talked about this before.
Mesmerized by it.
Is he just in shock that he doesn't really feel anything?
Crazy.
I don't know. So he says that it stood perfectly still, just staring at him for several minutes. Now that alone.
Yep.
Several minutes. Which
Which takes me back to the guy that saw the Jersey Devil in the roadway, standing in front of him for several minutes.
And if anybody thinks like, oh, that's not, it just put a timer on your phone, put 3 minutes on there.
Yeah.
And sit there staring at the wall or something, or a picture for 3 minutes until it goes off. That's like an eternity.
Yeah.
When your car's not working and now you're...
I set the microwave to 1.5 minutes for a frozen burrito, and it feels like...
Yeah, it feels like eternity.
Half an hour just to get
You think
my
you're going to
food up.
starve to death. Yeah. I feel like a child from Uganda. I'm ready for Sarah McLachlan to start singing for me or something in the background.
Yeah, and that's 1.5 minutes, so wow.
Anyway, so as it's standing there, after several minutes pass, its fingers begin to twitch and its wings begin to unfold. The wings, he states, were as wide as the roadway, which, again, there's your, your 50-ish feet, give or take. I mean,
because who knows what road he's on.
Exactly. Are we talking, 2 lanes one way, 2 lanes the other? Or are we talking single lane with that little bit of a pull off? I don't know.
Yeah, and I'm not familiar with the area that they're talking here, so there's no way to be able to tell.
But based on this next portion, I'm going to guess that it was that 50 or so feet, because he says the creature began flapping its wings and it began to slowly rise in the air. Now he says, quote, so great was the turbulence, the truck began to rock and sway, end quote. That right there, I mean...
That's a good wingspan.
Right.
If you're being able to stir up the air to the extent that a truck would move.
Right.
It's
not a condor.
That's not it's not a bird.
It's not a bird. And then he says the creature flew off in the direction of Mount Rainier. So as soon as it left, somehow, magically, lo and behold, the truck started and he quickly drove home. So to me, that right there is also just proof that it did have something to do with the vehicle stopping in some form or fashion.
Right.
It's too coincidental that as it's coming down, the truck stops and then it comes down. It's there for several minutes. He can't get the truck to go. And then it leaves. And now all of a sudden the truck just works magically.
Well, and you see this in movies like Close Encounters.
Right.
Where the UFO comes down, the truck shuts off.
Yeah.
Everything shuts off. And then when it leaves, everything fires back up.
Good to go.
Same basic principle.
Right. So he gets home. He runs into the house, wakes up his mom and dad, tells his dad to grab a gun and a camera. Now, supposedly, you were telling me you saw something that his mom was saying about, because there's some stories you read, it doesn't really give this description, but his mom was saying how terrified he was.
Yeah, that she said there was so much fear that she had to calm him down. And, so the dad jumps up and he's grabbing a gun and grabbing a camera, and mom's like, whoa, slow this down. What's going on?
Yeah.
So, he begins to tell his mom about this whole event, and of course she's probably struck with, do I believe him or not? It's my son, but it's pretty far-fetched. But I think at some point she definitely believes him because, and I don't think you're going to get into it, but he has refused to give statements since his initial statement.
He doesn't want to be ridiculed, probably.
And so he defers to his mom.
Right.
So people have talked to his mother. She 100% believes him. And she really wanted to throw out that, my son doesn't use drugs. He doesn't do anything. He's a good boy.
Right.
And if he says he saw it, he saw it.
Right.
I mean, as any good mother would do, correct?
Exactly, yeah.
You would always defend your child. But the way I read the multiple articles on this was that she 100% believes him.
Right.
And so did everybody else, for the record.
I wanted you to throw that part out because if you just read it at face value, to me, it seems like what I would do to you. If I was outside and I came running in and I was like, hey, grab a pistol and a camera, you would just grab it and run out and we'd both be out the door.
Right.
But that's not how it was with him. There was that. I mean, I would be terrified running in too, but I'd be like, we got to get outside as quick as possible. But there was that level of fear that she was like, no, we need to take a second here. You guys are grabbing firearms and heading out into the darkness.
Yeah,
like, what's going on?
She had to try and calm that situation down, right?
She even hands him a little tablet and asks him to draw what he saw. So he draws a picture of a winged wolf-like creature, which there you go again, Dogman, clearly.
Yep, and I've seen the picture, and it does look just like a Dogman would look with big bat wings.
Yeah, which is amazing.
He even drew a little short, boxy snout on it.
Yeah.
Because he said it wasn't long like a wolf. It was more, of a shorter snout. But
it wasn't short like a Sasquatch.
But it wasn't Sasquatch.
Right.
It was like dog-like.
So him and his dad go out and they speak with the neighbor who was pretty familiar with the area. And then the three of them hop in one of the vehicles and drive down the location where the incident took place. But they didn't find any evidence of that the creature had been there. So later, Canfield interviewed with the journalist that you talked about, C.R. Roberts, about his account of the incident. And that was published on April 24th in 1994 in the News Tribunal. Roberts went on record, the journalist, he went on record stating that he fully believes Canfield's story. Obviously, he doesn't know what type of creature he may have seen, but he also goes on to touch in the article as well, or in his statements that, he does not use alcohol or drugs, which they have to throw that out there because...
You do, because that's the first thing people say. Oh, he was drunk, or he's high, or he's this.
Because even if he said, well, yeah, I had a beer with dinner or whatever, they'd be like, yeah, you probably had like 15, you drunk. Like, sure you did.
Yeah,
kind of
exactly.
They would just write him off as a nut.
Anything to write it off. But this guy goes on to say that, he was like a senior in high school, and he was just a normal, average, decent kid.
Yeah.
That he wasn't a troublemaker, And the kid's, driving home from, I think he was coming home from work or something.
Yeah.
So it's not like he was out doing things he shouldn't have been doing.
Right. Smoking pot and doing mushrooms and drinking and hallucinating or anything. Like, no. So, and then, of course, like you stated earlier, that was the article that Roberts dubbed the creature Batsquatch.
Yeah. They had to come up with something catchy.
Yeah. Bat Dogman, Bat Werewolf, Batsquatch does sound a little better than those. Bat Dog, not as bad, though. I like that.
I'm in on Bat Dog.
Yeah. It doesn't, although it doesn't do it justice to how horrifying it actually is.
No.
Because Bat Dog, you think, one of those little like chihuahuas or something with wings on it. Not a 9-foot tall beast.
Right. Exactly.
Shaking cars with its wings. So over time, more locals would step forward with their own sightings of the Batsquatch, including a local liquor store owner, Butch Whitaker. Now, Whitaker claimed to have seen Batsquatch during a midday flight in his personal plane over the area Canfield had been driving. According to him, Batsquatch had flown beside him for several minutes before turning and disappearing from view. He supposedly took photographs of the creature in flight, but...
Yeah, no, I've tried looking those up, and I cannot find them anywhere. But he claims to have taken several photographs of this thing in flight, which I'd love to see that.
If you got them, why...
If you got them, show them.
Yeah.
But maybe they didn't turn out.
I don't know.
Yeah, maybe it was just a blurry mess, and then he figured everybody's just going to call me a liar anyway.
Right. Next one here. Many stories say that in 1998, an anonymous trucker hauling logs in northern Oregon claimed to have hit the Batsquatch. But it's not actually what happened.
Right.
And
you know what? Every if somebody was to look this up, almost every site you go on is going to say that an unidentified trucker hit Batsquatch.
Right.
But that's not the real story.
No. The incident was posted on Batsquatch.com on February 3rd, 1998 by an anonymous person who he didn't want his name put out there. He was worried that he'd be the laughingstock of his community because he states that he holds some kind of prestigious position within the city he lived.
I totally understand that.
Yeah. If you're a city councilman or a chief of police or
the mayor or
something,
whatever.
Anything that, I'm assuming when you say prestigious position within the city, it's something that gets voted in For some reason in my head, that's what I think, because
Yeah, and if even not voted, it's still a high position of authority.
exactly
Is the way
that
I would look at it.
maybe the person above you gets voted in. He's like, look, I'm trying to get reelected. I'm not going to have some nut who the whole town thinks is crazy here.
Right. And what if he was like a defense attorney or something?
Exactly.
No one would hire this guy.
I mean, I would.
Well, of
I'd
course,
hire
yeah.
the guy, but so he says that he was out hiking when he took a terrible fall and nearly fell off a cliff. He hit his head so hard he was knocked out for what he believed to be a few hours. When he wakes up, he saw an 18-wheeler carrying Douglas firs attempt to swerve to avoid something in the road. The truck driver hit the object and it went flying into the air and over the cliff into the canyon. He said the object appeared to be purple in color and had wings.
That's kind of frightening right there.
Right.
I mean, you witness, well, you don't even know what the guy hit.
Right?
What do we know that is purple with wings?
Batsquatch.
Batsquatch.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it.
But in all seriousness, no. I mean, there's not that I'm sure there's some obscure thing, but what
Oh, yes.
gigantic creature.
Some bird somewhere, you
Yeah.
know, is probably purple or bluish with wings.
Right.
You know, I mean, there's many of them,
Right.
but not 9 to 15 feet tall.
Yeah. This isn't a meadowlark. This is a giant creature.
Or a house parrot or
Right,
something.
exactly.
You know, this is huge.
So the driver loses control of the big rig, slams in the canyon wall, jackknifes the trailer. The trailer then goes over the edge and pulls the cab down with it, down the canyon. Now, he said he could hear the scraping and twisting of metal as it went down the canyon wall. He says he wanted to see, obviously, you know, unless you're just a jackwagon, you want to see if the guy's still alive, you want to help out, even though he thought there's no way he survived this because of how far he went down. But he had no way to get down the canyon. So he thought for a second his best course of action was to hike out and get help. All of a sudden, he felt and heard a strong gust of wind. Then he sees a large purple-colored beast descend from the sky, landing where he had been laying on the floor. The beast was holding another purple-winged creature that had been badly beaten and was motionless. He realized it was the object he had seen get struck by the tractor in the trailer.
So one Batsquatch gets hit and killed,
Right,
and another swoops in mourning
right,
and carries him out of the canyon up onto the roadway.
exactly.
I can't even imagine.
No,
I mean, you know, it'd be fun to watch that, but it'd still be pretty horrifying.
yeah, because it's one of those instances where you're by yourself. So it's like,
Yeah, and you just witness some guy die, basically,
Yeah.
you know, falling over the
Yeah.
side of and it doesn't say how far the cliff was, but I imagine it's a couple hundred feet.
and
at
people,
least.
you know what people's first reaction is going to be? Well, you have just hit your head.
Right.
Clearly, you're concussed. You have probably like a minor TBI. Something's going on, and you're not seeing what you think you're seeing. You're
Right.
probably still delusional from the knockout. Maybe you were
hallucinating.
still even unconscious.
Yeah.
You know, maybe this was part of when you were.
You dreamt all this.
Yeah, exactly. So he says that the creature stood about 15 feet high when it was sitting, hunched over in front of him. So potentially taller than that, which is.
Yeah, Lord knows how tall that would be at that
Yeah,
point.
exactly. So he later discovered that this creature would measure an easy 30 feet from head to bottom once it was airborne. The head of the animal was unusually small compared to its massive body, and it had long pointed ears and beady purple eyes, which that one's only a little bit different from the other ones, with it being the other ones, you know, some people initially saying that the eyes were red, and then from there, Canton was saying that they were yellow in color.
And people describe things differently
It's
all the time.
to me, that minor discrepancy doesn't outweigh everything else.
Yeah, the huge purplish
And
or
maybe it's
bluish
not.
colored
Maybe
beast
it's
with
not a
wings.
discrepancy. Maybe
Maybe it changes eye color.
or maybe it's a different beast than the other one saw, and for some reason,
Right.
you know, I have blue eyes, somebody else has brown eyes.
Maybe the one that got hit by the truck was the yellow-eyed one.
Yeah, who knows?
So who knows?
The nose was rather small and purple. The wingspan of the creature looked very small, as if it couldn't fly with such a small wing surface. However, once again, once it was airborne, the wings extended out to form a wingspan of a good 40 feet, is what he guessed. He said the most disturbing feature of the beast was its hands. It appeared to have 4 sets of them, 2 sets of claws and hands on the wings, about midway, and another set on the torso, almost as if they were human. He said that the creature was very frightening to look at and could almost be a cross between a large bat and an excessively large furry human. And there was no accounting of the truck driver.
Yeah, now I even tried to look that up.
Right.
So I typed in the date not a location, but I just put like in Washington, were there any logging trucks involved in an accident off a canyon, et cetera, et cetera. I did find some.
Well, it's Oregon. Of course.
Yeah. Oregon, Washington.
All those areas.
That whole region is logging trucks. And I found some fatalities and whatnot, but nothing that I could literally pinpoint to this incident. And so, did it happen? I don't know. I mean, there's no way to confirm that a truck went off that cliff, because I'm sure this guy reported it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I can't imagine that he would just let this man die down there, especially when in his statement, he was going to go get help.
Right.
So, he sent somebody back, but I can't find it. Doesn't mean it didn't happen. Just means I can't find it.
Right. Because who knows? It could have been an anonymous tip. Hey, I was out for a hike. I saw a semi go over the edge. I can't get down to help him. You guys need to send help. Boom, click in a call.
And not every accident you can find on the internet.
Right.
I've been in an accident before. You tried to look mine up.
Yeah.
You wouldn't see it.
Exactly.
So, doesn't mean it didn't occur.
That's right. So fast forward here a little bit. April 4th, 2009, Paul Dale Roberts, who was a columnist and a paranormal investigator, posted an article on unexplainedmysteries.com stating that he received a call from a hiker who said that he and some friends were making their way up Mount Shasta when they saw a flying humanoid-like creature with bat-like features. He described what they saw as a man, quote, stocky as Hulk Hogan with leathery wings 50 feet from one end to the other and the face of a bat, end quote. The creature had flown out of one of the crevices. He said he was holding the camera at the time, but was frozen by fear as the creature flew by and did not get a picture.
Wow. Okay. And so think about a bat face. A large bat face would look like what? A dog, right?
Right. Yeah.
They look like little wolves.
Yep. They have those snouts
little
on them.
foxes or whatnot. You know. I've seen numerous pictures. What's that giant bat?
Oh,
There's that.
It's like the fox bat
Yeah,
or
the fox.
the flying fox, or that's what the nickname for it, but I can't remember what the actual name is for it.
But that thing, it looks like a dog, right? Or
and
a fox.
even some of the ones that don't have the long pointy snout, they still have a snout that's more blunt.
Yeah.
Which is not
like a vampire bat has those little turned up nostrils that look like a pug.
It's still more dog-like than it is Sasquatch-like.
Yes. Right.
Which just confirms what we said earlier. It's a flying dog, man, not a Sasquatch.
And what's the other commonality here? You got Mount St. Helens.
Yep.
Mount Rainier.
Mount Shasta.
And Mount Shasta.
Yeah.
So this thing obviously likes large mountains. And all of those, I don't know 100% on Rainier, but I believe so. All of those are volcanic.
Right.
So you got to think that this thing's home base, if it's one, I mean, this could be multiple.
Yeah, who knows?
But everybody's describing a 40 to 50 foot wingspan, that it looks like either a dog or a bat face, which I think are similar enough that, if you're seeing a creature flying around, you're going to describe something different than I.
Right.
We could walk outside right now, and if there was a deer in the backyard and you're describing it, let's say it's a buck, you're going to say it was an 8 point. And I'd be like, nope. I think it was 6,
right.
And that guy went at least 140 pounds. And you'd be like, more like 200.
Yeah.
And so people can never agree on anything. Right. You learn that really quickly in law enforcement, that when people are describing a suspect, I mean, it could be, anybody.
Yeah.
Because you get 2 or 3 people, they're all going to describe things differently.
Exactly. But it doesn't take away from the point that, going back to the deer thing, that we saw a buck.
That's correct. And these people saw something.
Right.
But to me, they're pretty darn close.
Yeah, that's
40 to 50 foot wingspan, 15 to 30 feet tall. 30 feet might be an exaggeration, but who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe he just saw a bigger one that came down and rescued the smaller one.
Right.
And the face, the eyes, the glowing eyes, whether they're red, yellow, purple.
Same with the fur, if it's a dark bluish tint or a bluish tint, or if it's a purple tint.
Right.
Some people could be, I have a color deficiency supposedly not supposedly, I do, where I have a red and green deficiency.
Yeah.
I can't see certain shades of red and green.
And we may describe something a little bit different, but it doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
Exactly.
So I think these are similar enough, though, where it does exist.
Right.
They're not misidentifying a known creature as something else. And they're all describing it so closely to each other, and none of these people know each other.
Right.
These are different cities, different regions
Exactly.
of the Northwest. So
it's not going from a humanoid Sasquatch Dogman type to a horse type, or it looked like a flying cat, or it looked like a lizard. No, it's like you said, it's that same general.
Right. And thank goodness it wasn't a cat, because bat cat just wouldn't
It
sound
would be
good.
terrible. Yeah. And I don't like cats anyway. So, so again, moving on, June of 2015, Columbia, Missouri family's encounter with Batsquatch was posted in several local newspapers, including the Phelps County Focus. That incident was even reported in the MUFON, the Mutual UFO Network, who investigated the encounter. The family was driving down a dirt road headed to the Blue Spring Trailhead in Shannon County, Missouri, when the mother spots the creature. She describes it as a winged entity 7 to 8 feet tall, with leathery wings from its shoulders to the ground, black in color, with pointed ears on a triangular head with yellow eyes. The area was searched by MUFON, but they found no physical evidence.
So again, a pretty close description.
Exactly.
Now we're all the way over in Missouri,
Mm-hmm.
so I don't know why Batsquatch would be traveling across the country, but it's who knows what it does and why it's there. But I would say that description is close enough that it's either Batsquatch, a Jersey Devil, or another entity of some kind.
Right.
The triangular head, that one kind of throws me off just a little tiny bit, where it almost sounds like it's a pterosaur or a thunderbird.
Right.
That also has been reported across America.
Yep.
So it could be something like that. Of course, it's black in color, not bluish or purple. But we also don't know how far away it was when it was sighted.
Time of day, all that stuff.
Time of day. So there's a lot of things that can factor into that. But I would say that if they're wrapping this up as a potential Batsquatch, that somebody felt that the description was close enough that it could be one.
Right.
So I'll buy into it.
I like it.
Okay, so that pretty much concludes the most detailed sightings.
Right.
Some of the other sightings were just people saying they saw it.
Right.
And I'm not going to say there's hundreds of them, because I don't believe there were hundreds of them. But there was a significant amount that would indicate that people were seeing something.
Right.
But these were more specific, which is a lot more interesting to talk about.
Exactly.
When somebody had a personal encounter with one versus somebody who's just said, hey, I saw this thing flying around, the mountaintop.
Well, that, I know, not to beat a dead horse here, because we just talked about it, but the detail over time in different areas is why we put them in.
Right.
Because it just lends more credibility.
It has to be there.
Right.
And it's not misidentification, period. No. Period. I mean, there's no reason to say anything more on that. So they have come up with some explanations, though, as to what it could be. And this one doesn't bother me, because as in the Loch Ness, where they're, beavers and seals
elephant
and bathing elephants and stupid things like that, this is more reasonable. The explanations are that the Batsquatch is potentially a missing link. Okay. Well, I don't buy that, because I don't believe in the theory of evolution.
Right.
So there is no missing link. In my book, we were created not as amoebas crawling out of an ocean, but as people.
Right.
And so we did not evolve from a winged ape. So I rule that one out. Batsquatch is an alien.
Okay.
Okay. Maybe. Now, we could get into an hour discussion on, are there aliens?
Right.
I've witnessed UFOs, and, we talked about all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I still don't know that they're from outside our atmospheric Earth.
Yeah.
But who knows? I mean, could be an alien. The Batsquatch may be an example of diabolic flying apes. So I'm like, what? Christ's sake, is a diabolical flying ape? Well, we'll get into that in just a second, because the last one is what I would say.
Yep.
And that is that people have come up with the fact that Batsquatch is actually a satanic creature.
Yep.
To me, that one holds the most water.
Oh, yeah.
I would say, based on what we talked about earlier in the podcast, fallen angels mating with animals on Earth, and the potential of that being a divine and humanoid type thing is, I think, a high possibility. The fact that it came from an explosion or from a tragic event could also indicate, if it came out of magma, what else other than a demonic entity could handle that kind of heat,
Right.
and whatnot. So, and the fur wasn't burnt up. So, it can't be something.
It didn't come out on fire.
Worldly. Yeah. So I think that explanation would be the one I would go with the most, but also the fact that it didn't ever try and hurt anybody. It was literally, it landed in front of a kid.
Yep.
It landed in front of a hiker. It was merely feet away from them. They felt no fear. It didn't try and hurt them. It didn't do anything to them. So could it be angelic? I don't know. No one's going to know,
Right.
But these are all just speculations. But I think in this particular case, when people try and explain a phenomenon, they always come with outlandish stuff, right?
Yep. Yeah.
And
the
I
worst.
Think, and I think these are pretty close.
Yeah, they're not unreasonable.
Yeah, it's not unreasonable to think it could be one of those things.
Which I didn't think we'd ever get to.
No,
Because people always,
they always
the explanations are always, to me, unreasonable.
jump to ridiculousness.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then when we talk about like those diabolical flying apes, there are other cryptids throughout the world,
Right.
where people believe that these flying primates exist. An example of that would be like in Indonesia. There is the legend of the Orang Bati, and that is a flying cryptid which is located in a really little-known Indonesian island of Seram. And Seram is covered with acres and acres of unexplored rainforest. They say that these things are vicious, soaring primates, and they're notorious for kidnapping and carrying away children to be eaten during nocturnal raids on native villages.
Yeah.
So that is the legend there. Now they 100% believe in it.
Yeah.
Right? We would write this off as a cryptid and say that none of that happened. These are must be stories to scare the kids or something. But if you were to talk to people of that region, they 100% believe that it's real.
Right.
That these things come in these flying raids. They seek shelter, and any children that didn't make it to shelter are picked off by these Orang Bati and are swept away to be eaten.
Yeah.
Now, what comes to mind immediately is the Wizard of Oz, right?
Yeah. Yep. The flying
The
monkeys.
flying primates. Well, where did they come up with that idea? The producer that made, or the writer, or however you want to say it, whoever came up with the concept of the Wizard of Oz, where did flying primates come from?
Yeah.
You almost got to wonder if it was like from one of these areas and they went, ooh, that's a frightening thing that we can
Let's throw that in there.
throw it in here and people will be horrified for years. Which, it did scare people.
My wife is still terrified of
Yeah,
it. Yeah. She
yeah.
can't take it.
Yeah, the Oompa Loompas and the and the little munchkins and whatnot. But there's another one though, because in the New Guinea area,
Yep.
there's the legend of the Yahul. I know you know a little bit about the Yahul.
Yeah.
But it's also a winged cryptid, and it has a very distinct face that has features of both a chimpanzee and a bat mixture. It has large dark eyes, red-skinned wings that are almost like see-through, that where you can see the veins in them and
Yeah.
stuff. Large claws on its forearms, and it's covered in gray fur. Now, the Ahul is actually said to have a wingspan of up to like 28 feet, and it is 3 to 4.5 times the size of the largest known bat, that flying fox that we
There it
talked
is,
about
yeah.
earlier. And so that flying fox is huge.
Oh, it's massive.
It's a massive bat, and it does look literally like a fox with wings, but larger. And the Ahul is said to be almost 4.5 times the size of that,
Yeah.
which would put you into almost this Batsquatch size.
Right. It's almost like the skunk ape is to Sasquatch, you know?
Yeah. Same basic thing.
Yeah.
Right.
There's slight differences, but we're talking the same thing here.
And so throughout the world, there are different flying cryptids that they say are primate-like.
Yeah.
Again, I'll just reiterate, I don't think ours is primate-like as much as it is dog-like.
Right.
Or bat-like or fox-like or however you want to say that. But that seems to be the main description of it. And then calling it a squatch goes back to the primate look.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's what it is. But I do like the name
Yeah.
Batsquatch.
Yeah. It's catchy. I like it.
It does fit. And then other people have said that it is potentially a modern-day pterosaur. Now, the triangular-shaped head thing, big bat wings, the claw-like features,
Right.
the little hands that are on the forearm area of the wing, that is very pterosaur-like. But I don't think that's what they're describing.
No.
Because they're not purple. They don't have fur.
They don't have that humanoid-esque body either.
And I think there were some prehistoric pterosaur-type birds that did have that bluish fur, as I recall. I can't come up with the name of it right now, but I think there was something along those lines, but not being knowledgeable in the...
And plus they changed
dinosaur
constantly.
stuff.
Remember, dinosaurs used to only be reptiles, and then they
Yeah.
all had fur, and then
Right.
who knows?
Well,
It's
and if you
changing
watch
daily.
Jurassic Park, they all came from birds, remember?
Right, exactly. So,
So-
it's different every
so
other
who
day.
knows?
But we're the quacks, so what do I know?
Yeah, we're nuts. The popularity of the Batsquatch, it's stuck around for a while if you think about the amount of time that it hasn't been seen,
Right.
that it's still out there, amongst people of the Pacific Northwest still believe that it's there.
There's some kind of brewery that's got a beer called the Batsquatch.
Oh, yeah,
it's got the Batsquatch on the front with the eyes and all that
It's
stuff.
like an IPA, some
Something,
bitter beer. Or
Yeah.
something. I don't know, but yeah, that's Rogue Brewing
Oh,
Company.
yep, there it is. Yeah.
Yeah, in Oregon. So Batsquatch was featured on a television show, Monsters Across America. You remember that one?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think I've watched every Monster Quest movie type thing, finding things, expedition, this and that, Mountain Men,
Yep.
you name it. I've watched because I love those things.
Oh, yeah.
Not one of them have ever proven anything to me,
But I love it.
but I do love to watch it. But anyway, yeah, it was during season 3, episode 2 of Monsters Across America, and they did feature the Batsquatch of Mount St. Helens. And so it's kind of interesting to watch. You can Google that, and I know it's on. There is a YouTube, but I think you have to pay through Fox Nation in order to watch it, which is kind of a rip.
Oh, yeah. They're ripping everybody off nowadays.
Because this is a while back. This aired back in 2021, so it should be free to watch now.
Right.
But it's not. Anyway, that's pretty much it. That's what we've got on Batsquatch, which honestly was more than I thought
Yeah.
we were going to come up with.
Because initially I thought there was only the initial sighting and then maybe one other, if I remember correctly and this was like months ago that I kind of glanced at it. But yeah, once you dive into it,
it's very interesting.
Yeah.
And again, the question is, what is it? Is it here for good or is it here for bad?
yeah.
So far, it's never hurt anybody. So
Yeah.
maybe it came as a warning of doom or something. I don't know. Who knows? It could be another Mothman prophecy or something of that nature.
Maybe it's just a sentry for other demons. Who knows?
Yeah.
Just flies around.
Yeah, it's really hard to say, but I would like to see it.
Yeah.
I think it would be pretty cool to see a flying dogman.
And actually, now that I think about it, we don't really know that it hasn't hurt anybody. Because if that thing snatched you and took you, you would just be a missing person.
Right. Maybe we should look up missing persons in
Mount
the Pacific
Shasta
Northwest.
and Mount Rainier.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's been plenty of missing people in those areas.
How many hikers have gone missing?
Yeah. Oh, we suspect they fell down this canyon when they were hiking. And really, they got snatched by this Batsquatch and taken to the volcano to their master to be eaten for all of eternity.
Yeah. You never know. Maybe that's something that we could look into.
Yeah.
So anyway, you got anything else?
No, I think that's it.
Yeah, nor do I. So our next episode coming up in a couple of weeks here is going to be a tough one.
Yeah.
Right? Our favorite.
Right.
Hands down, everybody obviously should know what it is since that's our obsession.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to take more than one episode to cover.
Yeah, we're just going to have to do we'll still keep probably close to what the normal length is, but
yeah,
there's so much Dogman stuff we can go on.
There's podcasts and books and all stuff related just to him.
Yeah.
And so a 1 hour episode isn't going to.
It'll be the first of many.
Yeah, it's going to have to probably be the first of many. And we're going to stick to the Dogman of Michigan.
That way we can narrow it down and make it easier.
One. So it's a little different than the Beast of Bray Road and Dogmen that have been seen all over this country.
Because if we leave it just at Dogman in general, you and I will get on a tangent, and next thing we know, we'll look over at the timer, and it'll be 4 hours in.
Right. And then we haven't even touched on the Dogman of the Texas Triangle,
Yeah, exactly.
So there's all kinds of stuff out there. We're going to keep it to Dogman of Michigan, and we are very much looking forward to that episode and hope that you're going to join us.
Yep. Yeah, that's it.
So that's all I got.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for joining us today. If you enjoyed the show and you want to help us out, then go ahead and give us a follow, leave us a review, and don't forget to turn on the automatic download button so you don't miss any upcoming episodes. And as always, if you've had any experiences, stories, thoughts, comments, or questions, we'd love to hear from you. Send us an email to cryptidfanatic@gmail.com. Let us know if you'd like to be on the show or just have your story featured during one of our episodes.